Hello and welcome to Own Your Peace. I'm your host, Andy Thewison, and today it's all about how we make decisions. Raise your hand if you ever spiraled on a decision, overthought every angle, and still felt unsure. Same Z's, until human design gave me the actual blueprint on how I'm meant to make decisions. It changed everything. You don't have to have a pros and cons list. You just need to be back in alignment with the way that you're always meant and designed to make your decision. That's what today's episode is all about. As we move through life, there is a specific way that we are designed to flow with the universe and how we're meant to tap into our inner compass to make decisions. That is what this conversation is about. That's where we're going. So buckle up. Let's talk about why strategy and authority are non-negotiable and how they're very much different. I know a lot of people who come into human design kind of get these two confused because they do have similar energies, but I want to make it very clear and distinguish the differences between the two. So let's give it just a general breakdown of what is a strategy and what is authority. So strategy is the how. It is how we are meant to engage with life. It is the energy that we're meant to flow with decisions. It is how we are best meant to communicate and co-create with universal intelligence. And if you're new here, when I say that, I mean spirit, I mean source, I mean God, whatever that means to you. Pick whatever makes the most sense for you. And authority is more of our inner personal compass. It's how we make decisions. It's how our body speaks to us in the conversation. So authority is outside of ourselves, how we're being God. We are being guided by God, universe, source. And then authority is that internal compass of how our body speaks to us when making decisions. That is a very distinct difference between the two. They're the really two very core human design tools. If you only learned one thing in human design besides your type, which is huge, these are two things. Honestly can say if human design really just boiled down to type, authority, and strategy, I would still teach it because it is that game changing of an element to incorporate into your life. Let's bust the myth. There's no one size fits all answer because you aren't one size fits all. Every one of us has a very distinct combination of strategy and authority, and that is how we are meant to move through the world. So when you follow your strategy and authority, life gets to be smoother, life gets to be more abundant, you're aligned with your unique energetic flow, and things become less draining and less confusing because you're in alignment. You move from frustration to satisfaction. You move from bitterness to success. You move from anger to peace. You move from disillusionment to surprise and delight. See how I tapped into those themes as well? This is such a huge game changer. And it's one that really, when I first stepped into my journey with human design, really made a difference in my own life. As a projector, as you can imagine, it is the biggest shift because projectors really do try to follow in alignment with generator energy because we do want to be successful. So in this world, success looks like working really hard. It looks like hustling. It means staying busy all the time, trying to be successful. And if you're a projector, you understand this vibe really well because that doesn't work for us. We get burnout, we get bitter, and things get stuck and we don't move forward. Yeah, you're going to have some momentum because that's just the way life works. I honestly do believe if you put effort forth, the universe is always going to provide for you. But since I've taken a step back and really honored my rest, honored that I wait for an invitation, I wait for my emotional authority to tell me when to move forward with things, things just shift and move so much more easily for me. And there's not this hustle. There's this really relaxed confidence that things are going to work out the way that they're meant to. And they always do. When I've relaxed and tried to slow my flow and really steep into alignment, and it has made all the difference. And that's what I really want to give you today. Whether you've been in the human design world for a while or you're new to it, this is just a conversation to always come back to. Because sometimes we get really excited about all the elements in human design. We go down all the roads of determination and cognition and motivation and all of our gates and all these things that are really exciting and fun. But sometimes we just need to come back to simplicity, come back to the basics, because when we work on the basics, things just flow better for us. So we're going back to basics today. We're going back to the big two. We're talking about strategy and authority and what that means. So if you are a manifestor, your strategy is to inform before you act. You are the initiator. You are the fire starter. So freedom is key for you, but you need to let people know what you're up to so they don't block your flow. This is a really important thing to do. And it's one that I see manifestors have a really hard time with, because most of you have been told no most of your lives by loving parents who just really wanted to protect you and keep you safe, but you knew where you needed to go. You knew what you needed to be up to. So you would just ask for forgiveness instead of permission, because of those urges were so innate and so strong within you. So this is a pivot to move into informing before you act, because most of the time you just want to do it. And then it's easier to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. But really informing the people in your life what you're up to, what your urge is going to result in two things. They're like, cool, let me back off. Let me give you space to do what you need to do. Or you're going to get the support that you need. They're like, okay, what can I do to help? What can I do to support you in this urge? And when we really have this conversation with the people that we love and they understand the human design journey with us, they are more able to step in and support you in those urges as a manifestor. I'm raising two manifestors, and this has been a huge shift in the way that I parent, because I know when they have an urge, it's totally different than them just going after something and being spoiled or whatever it is. This is something that's so deep within them that when they do inform me what they're up to, I try to support. How can I help you? What can I do to help you on your way? Instead of, what are you doing? And getting in their way. So, and especially within a couple and within a marriage, if you're married to a manifestor, really, support them when they tell you what they're up to. How can I help? Or get out of their way and just let them do what they need to do, and understand and trust that they are following something from the divine. That's really important. Okay, now for my generators. Your strategy is wait to respond. You're the magnet. Life gives you the cue and then you go. So another really great way to think about this, and this is something that really helps me. I'm a very visual person, so I need to see things in a visual way. So for me, I want you to envision that you're at this beautiful stream and you put out the desire, what you want out there, and then you're going to start to see things come to your awareness. So you put out there that you want to cross the stream. So all of a sudden you'll see a step appear. You're going to see that stepping stone, and you're going to know and feel in your gut that, yes, that's it. That is what I'm meant to respond to. And you take that first step, and then having that same faith, you move forward and you see your next step. And then you need to see your next step. So it really is this surrender and trusting that when you put your desire out there, the steps will appear in the order that they're meant to. You're not trying to plan this out 10 steps ahead. You're really trusting, what's my next move? What's my next yes? So if you can dial it back and really just focus on, what's my next step? What am I meant to respond to next? What in my body is saying, yes, that's it. That's what's going to guide you through life. It really is this conversation of, I put my desire out there. Okay. And then things are going to start to circle into your awareness. And so it's really important what you're saying yes to, because when you're saying yes to things, the universe is like, yes, that's what they want. That's what's bringing them happiness. So I'm going to send them more of that. I'm going to send them more because I want to see them enjoy, because the universe wants nothing more for its generators to be generating joy, because when you do, you produce more energy for the rest of us. And that's how we shift the planet. It's really important for generators and manifesting generators to constantly be in joy, because you truly do create the baseline energy of this planet. So it wants you in joy. So be very careful as a generator and a manifesting generator what you're saying yes to. Because if you're saying yes to crap sandwiches, because the universe is going to send you things to respond to, and whatever you respond to, what you're saying yes to is a signal to the universe what you want to co-create more of. So universe is going to send you a random crap sandwich. And if you're like, cool, crap sandwich, maybe if I add some cheese, maybe it'll taste a little bit better. So it'll be like, cool, you like crap sandwiches, I'll send more. But if you're like, this is not it, this is not what I want, and you send it back with love, no. then you're going to start having a better co-creation conversation with the universe because you're really getting clear on what it is you want. That's one thing as humans that's so interesting to me, and myself included, is we're so good about knowing what we don't want. What we do want is a little bit less clear. I always think about the Notebook and like he's out there in the rain yelling at her, "What do you want?" I feel like sometimes that's us. It's so easy to say, "I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that." But when we really want to get clear on what we do want to create for ourselves, it's a little bit harder of a conversation. But when we hear this conversation on social media, if it's not a yes, it's a no, that's for my generators and manifesting generators. You are meant to stay in this yes energy, following what lights you up. Because when you start saying no to things that are yeses, that's when you move back to frustration. That's when things get sluggish and hard and you start to become out of alignment. Or when you say yes when you really want to say no. That's another thing that's going to knock you right off alignment. So really honoring your yeses is the strategy for you, waiting to respond to what these yeses are and really tapping in to what is your response to that. Again, it's so fun to see generators in motion. And when they're lit up, you can literally see the yes beaming from them when they're responding to something that is lighting them up. So watch for that, feel for that. So manifesting generators are going to be a combo of the two. So they are the biggest hybrid between a manifestor and a generator. So they are going to need to wait to respond, but they also need to inform. They have this multi-passionate, really fast moving, listen to your gut and loop others in energy. So really there is that response like we talked about with our generators, and then they need to inform those around them what they're up to. So again, it's going to be both for manifesting generators, and especially side tangent here, if you have channel 3420, which is the channel of charisma. So for you, that is going to make you more of a manifestor. So you're able to follow urges a little bit more without having to totally respond. Just adding that in there, it's kind of a fun thing to think about if you have that channel. So making sure you're informing others what you're up to is really important because again, they can come in and support you. They can get out of your way so you can just go for it. Now, my husband is a manifesting generator and he does have that 3420. So he will get excited about things and have that urge pop in just like my manifesting girls. And for me, it's like, okay, cool. How can I support you? What would you like to do? Okay, that's what you want to do. I'm going to get out of your way, let you do it, or I will get out there and help, depending on where my energy is at, because I've got to honor my energy as a projector. Now moving on to my projectors. So your strategy is wait for an invitation. And when I first heard this as a projector, I was like, well, that's lame. Wait for an invitation. I just sit on my couch eating bonbons, waiting for someone to invite me. That sounds really sucky. I don't like that. But really, let's dive into it. Your energy is precious. You shine when you're seen and recognized. I can 100% back this up. When I feel fully seen, when people are commenting on my content, when people are engaging with me, it just lights me up inside and it helps me reignite my passion because I truly feel like I'm seen in what I'm doing. And that's why when I see other projectors, I really try to validate that they're doing it. I see them because I know how important it is for me to feel seen in what I'm doing, but don't force it. Align with the right people who see you. This is one of the biggest things for projectors. Sometimes I'll see somebody I want to connect with and I feel energetically that maybe we'd make a really good team or we'd make a good connection and I want them to see me. Like I almost kind of like want to chase the invitation and I want to chase being seen by them. When I do that, it never works out. It never works when I chase recognition or when I chase an invitation. But if I just shine brightly and confident in what I bring to the table, then the right people see me and I get the right invitations and I get really good, juicy invitations where people are inviting me to come speak at their retreat or they're wanting me to come to their classes and teach, or they invite me to be their coach. Those are things that really light me up inside, but I can't chase them. I can't sit down and chase people to want to coach with me like a lot of generators and things like that do because it's just the energy gets icky and weird when a projector tries to do that. So what I try to do is I put the invitation out there and then I keep allowing myself to be available to be seen. And that is the biggest advice I can give to you as a projector. If you're having a hard time getting invitations or your books aren't getting filled up or you're feeling stagnant in your career, just keep How can I make myself more visible? How can I make myself more seen in my gifts? And the heart, like I've talked about this before here on the podcast, is a projector needs to see themselves first. Until you fully see yourself and for the juicy, amazing, beautiful gift that you are to this planet, it's going to be a hard time allowing others to see you. So you really have to get clear on what your gifts are, what you're able to bring to this planet, what you're meant to bring. And then once you do that, and you're really firm in that and you see yourself for the beautiful gift that you are, other people are going to start to feel into that too. And then it's almost like this ripple begins. That's when my books are the most full. That's when I have people coming to me. That's when I have lots of people sending me referrals, is because I have allowed myself to be seen. I've allowed myself to be visible. And it is one of the scariest things for a projector is to be seen. Because if we are allow ourselves to be seen and we still fail, we're not successful, and that's scary. So what you can do for the projectors in your life is help them be seen. If you see them, if you fully see the projectors in your life, help them to be seen, help them facilitate invitations for them to be seen or invite them in. But again, you can't force invitations. As much as I'd love to say, go for it, be tenacious, go after what you want, chase what your dreams, there is this element of trust and release where you surrender and you're like, I know my worth. I know how much I bring to the table and the right people will see it. I'm a magnet to the right people. That's a really good affirmation for my projectors. We don't chase, we attract. I just want you to think again, this is another visual I see a lot when I tap into the energy of a projector is a rose. It's not chasing bees like, come smell me, I'm beautiful, you want to pollinate on me. It doesn't do that. It blooms and it is the energy it embodies, and the bees come to it. They're not chasing, they're attracting with their energy. So if you're a projector, really focus on being the energy you want to attract, being who you want to have come to you. And that is the most important thing as a projector. That's the most empowering thing you can do is how can I be more visible? How can I make myself more seen? And I understand, I get this completely. Sometimes the algorithm doesn't always agree with us, but just keep putting yourself out there. Keep making yourself visible and the right people will see you. Don't worry about metrics. Don't worry about numbers. Just keep putting yourself out there because again, the right people will see you. And if you're confident and clear in what you bring and you see yourself fully, it's all going to come around at the right time and you just got to trust. As a projector myself, these are things that I've learned the hard way that I want to impart on you as a projector. As a reflector, your strategy is to wait a lunar cycle. You're the mirror, you're the wise moon child. And the why you need to wait for a lunar cycle, as much as that sounds terrible, like nobody wants to wait that long to be guided. The universe is going to speak to you and the different variations of you throughout the entire month. So you're stepping into allowing yourself to flow with how you're guided throughout the month. You're going to have different things come up to you throughout the moon cycle. Maybe there's something that pops in with a new moon. The first quarter moon, you're going to see some shifts and changes that you need to evolve with. And then we move to the full moon and now you're releasing things. And then we move to the second quarter. Like you have this evolution that's happening throughout the month where universe is guiding you through this process. And by the end of this cycle, you're going to be able to know within this guidance and communication and this conversation with the universe, what your next steps are. So that is why you need that time and space to really feel into these different energies and these different variations of yourself as you allow yourself to be guided. As I've talked about this before, reflectors are really able to have this beautiful passenger princess energy, but it is just allowing the universe to speak through you, through the different variations of yourself throughout the lunar cycle. So that's really important for you to do that. So give yourself permission to flow with the full moon cycle and to feel it all out. Does it still feel good? Does it still feel like you're being pulled in that direction after that moon cycle? That's a really good word for a reflector to tap into is, do I still feel pulled? Do I still feel guided in this direction as I move forward? Okay, recap. As strategy, as you move forward, this is how you are meant to be guided in the conversation you're having with the universe. So as a manifestor, you're going to get those ideas coming in as urges, and then you need to communicate those with your people. so they can support you or get out of your way and allow you to move forward with that. You really are this instigator. You are the fire starter, but you need to let people know there's a fire burning so they can either get out of your way or move in to support you and flame the fires with you. Now, if you're a generator, you're waiting for that thing to respond to. You're waiting for that thing to say yes to. And when universe brings you those things that you say yes to, you're moving, you're conversating, you're moving forward with that internal guidance. That strategy of waiting for the yes is so empowering. And then a manifesting generator, you're going to have that blend between the manifestor energy and that generator energy where you're going to get those things to respond to. You're going to get those urges, and you need to, again, you have a little bit of that fire starter energy where you're going to move forward with things. But you're going to have this embodied yes, this joyful energy to follow. That's the conversation you're having with the universe. And then we moved again to projectors, waiting for that invitation. You're putting yourself out there. You're allowing yourself to be invited. And then universe will move through the people in your sphere who truly see you to provide those invitations for you on how you're meant to move forward. So truly your job is to allow yourself to be seen fully in your gifts, allow people to see you and to be visible in what you're doing. And then those invitations will flow through others to get you to move forward. I want to add a little caveat here is universe might spark the invitation itself. There are times where I receive an invitation to create a piece of content, or I receive an invitation to create, a journal or a different type of coaching. And I am co-creating with the universe via an invitation for creation. So there is going to be invitations that obviously come from external sources that are working with source, and they feel that energy, they feel the pull to invite you in. But there's also that conversation sparked within you that ignites you to take action. And that is the invitation, that co-creation with the universe. I want to add that little bit of a caveat there. And then a reflector, you are literally being guided. Does this still feel good? Do I still feel the pull of the moon? Like a pull, it pulls those tides. Does this still pull me in that direction of where I need to move? Am I still feeling guided in this direction throughout the month? Do I still feel the moon's gravitational pull, the universe's gravitational pull to this decision? That is the most important thing as a reflector. Because again, you are the moon diva child. Is that moon still pulling you? Are you still being pulled throughout this lunar cycle to this new direction that the universe wants to flow with you? So those are some key things to keep in mind as we're talking about strategy. Again, the strategy is the how and the conversation with the universe and how you are having that. Now we move to authority. This is your internal GPS, and everyone has an internal GPS system, and it is defined by your energetic centers. If you do have emotional authority, which is a lot of people do have an emotional authority, I would say that's the most common, is to be an emotional authority. And this is via your solar plexus. So you are going to ride the waves of emotions. You're going to have emotions come and go all the time. You are here for the full emotional package. So you're having to make decisions by waving them through how you feel. And again, clarity comes over time and not in the moment. I know this one well. I'm an emotional myself. So a lot of times I'll get really excited about something and it feels good at the time. And then I say yes. And then a couple of days later, I'm like, that was not the right choice. Or I'll be in a low and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound cool. And then a couple of days later, I'm back to level. I'm feeling good again. And it does excite me, or it does feel like the right choice. So allow yourself space and time to make decisions, wading through those emotional waves, because you're going to have emotional highs where you're excited and everything's a yes. And then you're going to have lows where everything's a no. So it's really just waiting for emotional equanimity and waiting for your emotions to level out. So you're in this neutral space, and typically these last 24 to 48 hours. So if you're feeling good about something, you're feeling guided to something, wait a couple days. Does it still feel good? You are guided by your emotions. So allow yourself to be an emotional person. Allow yourself to really tap in. Some of us, because of our experience growing up, we're a little detached from our emotions. We weren't allowed to feel our emotions. So this is going to be something that takes time to step back into, especially if you were chastised. I have a lot of water on my chart. So a lot of times I was chastised for being too emotional or being too much. So I didn't value my emotions and I tried to move towards more logic because that was what was praised. So I invite you to step back into emotions. Allow yourself to embody emotions and to hold them without judgment. That's a big thing there. And allow yourself to truly be guided. And it's okay for you to say, this feels good. This feels right. Where so much of our world is like, you can't make emotional decisions. You need to make decisions based on logic and mapping it out and being analytical and making pros and cons. Absolutely not. So much wisdom's coming out about our connection to our body and how much wisdom our body actually holds. And for an emotional, your decisions are made in that emotional space. So making sure that you're staying in that emotional space, weighing out all your emotions until you make a decision. Again, this is for big decisions. When you're making big moves or making big decisions, allow yourself to sit with them. I do not make any big decisions unless I've sat with them for a couple days. And it's amazing to me once I started doing that, how much more I made moves that were moving me in the right direction instead of being so emotional. I am emotional about things. That's the right way to do things, but making knee-jerk emotional decisions. That is the distinguishment that I want you to make. That is how I want you to differentiate between the two. Is this a snap emotional response, or am I sitting into my emotions and actually feeling my emotions to make the decision? There it is. Okay, for my sacral authorities, I feel like you guys have this beautiful internal system where it is gut based. You feel it in your gut and it's an instant yes or no. This is where we go back to that. If it's not a heck yes, it's a no. Your body is going to feel a level of excitement. You're going to feel like an emblazoned, ingrained yes within your body. You're going to feel it in your body. It's going to feel like excitement within your body. And that is your yes. If you're hemming and hawing, you're like, maybe, could be, what if you're in that space, then it's a no. Get clear. If it's not fully a yes, then it's a no. Simple as that. And honoring when you get a no. And sometimes it's hard to trust that because a lot of times we have discounted our body's response because we live in a world that favors, again, that logic, that thinking things through, where sacral authority is meant to be more instinctual and more guided by instinct and intuition more than fact checking and logging things out and making pros and cons. So I want you to move back to that. I want you to go back to really trusting your instincts, trusting your gut. There's a reason why we say that. So sometimes you're going to get that gut response, that yes. And if you're looking at it like pinned out on paper and using your logic mind, it's not going to make sense. The same thing with the emotional. Sometimes things make emotional sense to you. But if you were logic about it, it wouldn't make sense and it wouldn't feel right. But trust your body over your intellect. Your mind's going to lie to you 100 times. Your mind does that. It tries to rationalize or it just messes with you. Your mind gets in the way. So we go back to trusting your body because your body does not lie. You're going to feel it in your body, and whatever you feel in your body is the truth, where your mind is going to, again, lie to you. Splenic intuition. This is very time sensitive. It is where our intuition whispers. It's lightning fast, and it's often quiet and subtle. It is, do this. Go here now. I always like to explain splenic authority as very time sensitive because it's almost like a sliding door situation. An opportunity is going to arise. There's going to be something and you're going to get that intuitive hit and you're going to either listen to it right away. Again, that trusting your instincts and not overthinking things is huge here. And if you ignore that little nudge, that instinctual nudge, it's going to go away because the time window closed. That opportunity is no longer available to you. So you do need to trust your intuition and know that it's speaking into you in a very time sensitive way. Honor that you are going to have to make quick pivots and quick decisions. And it's very quiet and it's very subtle. And the more you listen to it, the more you understand that's how it's talking to you, the more you're going to be able to trust it and the louder it's going to get. So I always say for splenic authorities, keep a journal of those little intuitive hits so that you can start trusting them more. And the more you trust them, the louder they get. That's important. Now, if you are an ego authority, you are willpower led. Ask, what do I really want? Do I really want this for me? That's the most important thing is what do you want? Again, going back to getting clear on what it is. Your desires are coming from source, from God, from universe. So for you, what you desire is very aligned, especially when you're in alignment yourself. And when it's coming from a heart-centered space, remember the ego is part of the heart. So if you're desiring something and it's in a very pure space, that desire is pure. It is meant to guide you, not coming from a human ego space, even though it is the ego. I know that gets confusing. This is from a very heart open, heart led space that those desires are dropping in, and it's guiding you. So when you feel that desire in your heart, trust it and move forward with that, knowing that that is your body talking to you through desires to guide you in the right direction. Now we move to projected authority. You are very voice led. You will hear the truth when you speak it out loud. These are people who really need to have conversations or speak into a voice memo so they can hear their own voice. Because what they're going to do is, as they're speaking or talking something out, the answer will drop in what they're saying, and they will hear it when it's dropped. So finding space and time to have a valued person you can talk it out with, either that be a therapist, a coach, or even, a spouse or a trusted friend. You do need to have someone that you can talk things out with, because the answer is always going to come when you're speaking your truth, when you're talking it out. And it's coming from that aligned space of truly wanting answers. So the more you're able to tap into that aligned space and listening to your voice, you will hear the answers and the guidance that you're seeking. So pay attention to that. And if you don't have a trusted person in your life, use voice memos and just let yourself talk out a situation or decision that you're making to the voice memo, and you will hear what your next step is and how you're meant to be guided. So again, authority guides us. Now, if you have mental authority, this is the only authority that has the ability to use their mind. Every one of the rest of us do not use your mind space to make decisions. Do not do pros and cons. Do not weigh it out. Trust your body, trust your emotions, trust your gut, trust your intuitions, trust your heart, trust your voice. But when it comes to mental, you are meant to weigh things out and look at things, look at what you're observing, but you're doing it from a very centered place. You're not doing it from an analytical space. You're looking at your observation with your heart open, your intuition open, and you're seeing with your spiritual eyes, with that source, with that spirit within you. And you're allowing yourself to be open to seeing things differently, seeing things the way that you're meant to be seeing them. This is not from an over analytical space. This is from a curious, withheld, withdrawn, detached observation. Okay, this is what I'm observing in the situation. I'm going to step back. I'm going to trust that the answer will be shown to me if I allow space and detachment. A lot of times, their hearts mental authorities are so much in their mental space that it's really hard for them to be detached. But there is this detachment that needs to be made so that you can allow yourself to feel with your third eye, that guidance there, what you're meant to see. That's the big differentiation there. Now, for my reflectors, you have no inner authority. For you, you need to slow down and have people in your life who will help you see things for yourself. The truth reveals for you over time, again, in that passenger princess energy of releasing and allowing through conversations with people who feel good to you, for you to feel into what that gravitational pull is for you. So trust that your body has the answers. It's not from this mental space, not from brain power. I love my mind. I love thinking things out and really strategizing. But when we are making soul aligned decisions, when we're trying to co-create with the universe, that is not the space to tap into the mind. What we do is we go to that soul aligned space, we go to our emotions, we go to our sacral, we go to our spleen, that intuition place, and we make the decision. And then we allow our minds to expand to help support the decision we made. That's how I want this to flow. Okay. All right. Now, how do we practice this in daily life? How do we integrate this into our real lives and take it from theory into reality? What I want to guide you through is some tools that can be helpful. I want you to create a decision journal to track when you're following your strategy and authority, and how that helps. If you're an emotional, how do those emotional waves feel? Did you sit with a decision? How did that outcome look different than if you would have just charged forward with a decision? Sit with things, map it out, and play into it. Practice it with small choices, whether that be your coffee order, a walk versus a nap. For an emotional, what feels good to you? I do this all the time. What feels good for me for lunch? I get out of my mind space. For a emotional person, how food feels to you is actually more important than anything. If it feels homey, if it feels good, I guarantee you when you're really in that aligned space, you're going to get more answers of like, I want strawberries or I want some vegetables. You're going to feel more of that than junk food. And sometimes it is junk food, and allow there to be space for that too. We can be yes and we can, yes, some really yummy chocolate sounds homey and good and comforting to me right now. But I'm feeling like I need this green smoothie because I know that my body needs it. So embrace a yes and. And also if you're that sacral, like feel into, am I getting a yes for this or no? Use that at a restaurant. And I'm going to go back to muscle testing here because if you are feeling a little disconnected from your decision making, especially with your authority, muscle testing is a great way for you to have training wheels on your decision making because it helps you, okay, I feel this is the right choice based on my emotion, but I'm going to muscle test it. Is it in alignment with how I felt? Okay, it's not. So then maybe I need to work on tapping into my feelings a little bit deeper here. The same thing if you have sacral authority, it feels like a yes, I'm excited about it, and then you muscle test it. Is that muscle testing in alignment with that choice? So those are some things that can be helpful when you're tapping into and we're trying to work more closely with your authority is that muscle testing practice. So you can Google that. I have a video on my Instagram that I will link in my show notes and I walk you through it. That has been a really good bridge for me in trusting my authority is that muscle testing process. And the closer I get to using muscle testing, the more that it is in alignment and the more I'm like, oh, I did feel that. I just got, and the muscle testing becomes more of a confirmation than just the source. So those are some good tools to help you. Pause when urgency creeps in. Anchor back into your authority. Urgency comes from outside of ourselves. It comes from anxiety. It comes from fear. So if you're feeling urgency, even if you are that splenic authority that's meant to make split decisions and quick decisions, ground back into yourself and into your body. Make sure you're not feeling disassociated because that happens a lot more than we think where we're a little bit more disassociated and not actually in our bodies. So I want you to ground back into your body. Maybe stepping on some grass, really grounding in your body, and then taking some deep breaths. Okay, then how do you feel? When we push urgency out, we push out anxiety, we push out fear, and we ground back into our body to make those decisions and then move forward. How does it feel? Is that intuitive hit still there? Is that sacral yes still there? We do need to take a pause and a moment to ground back into our bodies, make sure we're not disassociated because fear and anxiety can push us out of our bodies a little bit and we just need to ground back in and then we are able to make more aligned decisions. Make a daily practice of like, how in my body actually am I? And start asking yourself that question, especially if you have a lot of trauma in your past, it's easy to disassociate. So coming back. Association just means, let's break that down just a little bit because I say that word and not all of you might understand that. And it's something that we do without actually thinking. And I don't think some of us even have a word for it. So disassociation means when we are sleepwalking through our life and we're not present in our decisions. So I want you to think about times where you just kind of felt like you were sleepwalking through life. That's disassociation. So get grounded. The biggest thing we can continually do on a day-to-day basis when we're in anxiety, when we're in fear, when we're in depression, when we're all these outward emotions that kick us out of center, coming back to present. We're not future tripping. We're not past tripping. We're being present in this moment. Everything is good. Everything is right. I'm in my body. It is safe. And then we make a decision. And when we can stay in that sweet spot of alignment, that's when we are in this co-creation spirit and energy that we're meant to be in to move forward with decisions in our lives. That is a huge thing. You don't need any more advice. You don't need another opinion. You need to come home to the way your soul already knows how to move. If you have any questions about your authority, about your strategy, I'm here to help. I can help you through doing a one-on-one session or booking a soul strategy session where I can help you step into this even more so through those sessions where we're working on things every month, one little titty bit of your chart, and we're stepping into more integration of it. Those are the things I'm here to support you with. Again, I'm always available on DMs. Ask any questions that you have. I am here to help you. I'm here to be a resource. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. And next week, come back and we'll be talking about money codes. Where's the money hiding on your chart and how to tap into it more fully? Much love, and we'll see you next week.